these political divides, and it's about the nation. Mr. President, the Senate notes that the Endsars protest, which assumed a global dimension, began on 3rd October 2020, when the video of a SARS officer who allegedly shot a young Nigerian in Ughelli, Delta State, surfaced online. Further notes that on Wednesday, 7th October 2020, youths in Lagos State set out for a 3-day protest to call for the disbandment of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, unit of the Nigeria Police Force, as part of the push for reforms in the unit. Aware that 7th October 2020, the start of a 14-day protest in Lagos that eventually turned violent and was hijacked by hoodlums. Further aware that at about 6:45 p.m. on Tuesday, 20th of October 2020, several media accounts revealed the peaceful protesters were allegedly shot by the Nigerian military at the Lekki toll gate. Concerned that the alleged shooting of protesters further infuriated protesters and tension flared, with consequent violent protests and the beginning of wanton looting and destruction of public and private assets all over the country, and particularly Lagos, the epicenter of all the protests. Worried that the private and public assets destroyed by hoodlums in Lagos was estimated to be in the region of 1 trillion naira by the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Further worried that the long list of destroyed public and private properties in Lagos are Ajeromi Felodu Local Government Secretariat, the Palace of the Oba of Lagos, Lagos High Court Igboshere, Oyinbo BRT Terminus, Ojodubega BRT Terminus, Vehicle Inspection Office Ojodubega, Lagos State Public Works Corporation, Ojodubega, Lagos City Hall and Circle Mall, Lekki, numerous luxury shops in Surulere, the Nation newspaper, TVC, and ShopRite Lekki, including 27 BRT vehicles estimated to cost $200,000 each, and another 57 BRT vehicles estimated to cost $100,000 each, all totaling about 3.9 billion naira. And alarmed that 25 police stations were reportedly burnt in Lagos. Orile, Amunkoko, Layeni, Ilasamaja, Ikotun, Aja, Igondo, Elemoro, Makinde, Onipanu, Ibuteru, Pen Cinema, Isokoko, Alade, Sele, Igboelerin, Shibiri, Bagada, Onilekere, Makoko, Daliko, Asaun, Makiyo, Amuwo Odofin, anti-kidnapping, Surulere. Other police stations that were vandalized but not burned were Ojo, Ojodu, Mowe, PPL, and Morogo. The Senate accordingly resolves to urge the federal government to set up a visitation panel to assess the level of destruction of public and private assets in Lagos. 2, urge the federal government to establish a special economic assistance to Lagos State in recognition of its strategic socio-economic significance by paying a financial grant in aid of not less than 1% of the share of revenue allocated to the federal government in the federal account. 3, get the Senate Committee on State and Local Government to monitor compliance. Mr. President, I so move.
Thank you.
What was assumed to be a peaceful protest turned violent. And in every society where...
Senator Sani Musa, just second the motion, because we are taking another motion from Gesh Embassy. We'll consolidate them and then we can make the debate. So if you want to... Yeah, no, you don't go on the debate at the moment. We'll take the two motions together. So we felt these two motions are of the same case or situation, and therefore instead of taking them separately, we should consolidate them She has presented the case of Lagos or Southwest. Now he's presenting that, then we take the two jointly. Thank you very much.
Or do I start fresh?
No, go ahead.
Okay, the Senate is worried that despite the 24-hour curfew, a group of vandals on the next day, being 24th October, invaded over 120 properties in Calabar and vandalized, looted, burnt down some high-valued properties belonging to individuals, the state government, and the federal government. The Senate is further worried that the Department of Petroleum Resources Office, West African Examinations Council Office, Federal Inland Revenue Services Office, the brand new state-of-the-art International Convention Center, Calabar CICC, the sprawling Tinapa Business Resort, the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, the Infectious Diseases Hospital, amongst others, and private residences, mostly of past and present federal lawmakers, were vandalized, looted, and or burnt. The Senate is convinced that the mayhem of the 24th October was an invasion of the sovereignty of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It was premeditated, selective, and targeted at highly valued federal and state government infrastructure and at federal lawmakers. The Senate is aware that the intervention of the military bases and security installations like the 13th Amphibious Brigade in Calabar, the Eastern Naval Command in Calabar, the NNS Victory in Calabar, the 207 Special Mobility Air Force Unit in Calabar, and Zone 6 Police Command in Calabar prevented the mayhem from spreading further. The Senate is further aware that Cross River State, being a predominantly civil service state, may not overcome the effects of the invasion since the destroyed state infrastructure were built from the lean resources over years. Accordingly, the Senate resolves 1, to condemn the attacks on private and public properties in Calabar on the 23rd and 24th of October 2020. 2, mandate the Committee on National Security, Intelligence, the Committee on Defense, the Committee on Police Affairs, Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters to investigate the invasion of the ancient city of Calabar on the 24th day of October 2020. 3, urge the federal government to assist in the reconstruction, rehabilitation and repair of properties and infrastructure that were destroyed on the 24th day of October in Calabar, Cross River State. Mr. President, I so move.
Every place that Endsars took place, either destruction of warehouses or private homes or government properties, and is unfortunate. But the issue is that whenever there are destructions, it is the role of government to adequately provide compensation, especially to the fact that government is supposed to protect life and properties. But where there is a problem like this, I think it is very important that other similar issues should also feature. In my constituency, for over a period of 5 to 6 years, there have always been destructions. Our village is burnt down. I don't see it different from exactly what the hoodlums have done during the Endsars. In the northeast, we have seen the destruction and the mayhem that Boko Haram brought to that area. We have seen innocent homes being destroyed, people being killed. Till date, I've not heard the government saying they are going to take responsibility in paying compensation to such victims. My constituents have come up, so many of them in groups from different villages, seeking government intervention in the destruction of their properties. So I here support the idea of compensation to all victims of similar destructions as it happens during the Endsars. As the Endsars victims are being compensated, so also the victims of banditry, where hoodlums also attack homes, burn down their properties, cut away their livelihoods, should also be compensated. The issue of Endsars, if we just limit it to that and to Lagos, I think it is not fair to other parts of Nigeria. I therefore move that if compensation will be given, should also extend to other places, as Lagos will benefit, so my constituency, so Northeast, and all other places like Kaduna State, that similar destructions has happened. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Abdullah.
President, I want to share in principle the sentiments, the emotions that are written in the two motions. Every right-thinking Nigerian cannot be at ease seeing and hearing what took place during the Endsars protestations in the country. It is obvious that the demonstrations that were thought to be peaceful demonstrations turned up to be one of the worst protests that this country has witnessed in recent times. There is no denying the fact that Lagos, Calabar, and one or two of the other cities that have been mentioned did suffer losses. Individual losses, institutional losses. But, Mr. President, I am afraid of our taking stands on any motions on this matter at this point in time. It is my considered opinion that it will be prejudicial to the judicial tribunals that have been set by some state governments, by the federal government, to go into this matter. If we now proceed to take decisions on this, we shall be preempting the outcome of these judicial tribunals. I would therefore want to appeal that we tread with some caution. Let's wait for a while. Let's see the outcome of these tribunals, judicial tribunals. Let's see the outcome. If the outcome is such that it's not palatable, it's not acceptable by the majority of Nigerians, then we come here and take our duty as the parliament seriously and take positions on these motions. But for now, it is prejudicial for us to take this matter. I so submit, Mr. President.
Senator Ike Kwaramadu.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues, I'd like to use the opportunity condolences to family of soldiers, policemen, civilians, and anybody that lost their ones during that period. Your Excellency, because you have said we have limited time here, I'm going to be quite short in my presentation and contribution. I would rather think about the lesson we have learned or we learned from the exercise, the Endsars problem. We've heard the analysis from those who presented the motion and my colleagues who also contributed. So I'll just quickly look at what I consider to be the lessons. One is that I believe that we've not done enough to protect the interests of the young people of this country. We still owe them responsibility to provide them jobs and a secured future. This can be done by a conscious effort to be able to provide, build, and establish industries and provide an enabling environment for the private sector to thrive, to enable them soak this army of unemployed youths. Because unless that happens, we'll continue to experience this kind of agitation and protest. The second is, it means that the security men we have in this country have been overstressed and possibly not enough. I spoke with Gesha Mbasi on the day this happened and a number of our colleagues from Cross River. And they said they contacted the army and the police. The response in each of those contacts was that they were overstretched, and I believe them. So this time for us to begin to consider what some of us have been talking about, which is the decentralization of our police sector, so that each state should be able to have the number and the quality of police they need, because if that happened in the past, probably this would have been contained. And even some of these people who are protesting would have been members of those state police force. So I believe that this is time for us to have a rethink on this issue of the security decentralization in this country. I do hope that this is a wake-up call for all of us as leaders of this country to begin to address some of these issues, because if we don't do anything, there's the likelihood that this may happen again, God forbid.
With Senator Hassan Adamu, the elder statesman. We know it too that judicial panels have been set up in different states, across the country, where, inquisition is being made into what happened, during the Endsars protest in Nigeria. But I just think too that some of the things that happen in some of the states, which were peculiar to some of these states, this is the political marketplace for the whole country. We should be able to mention them. Because particularly in Edo, where the two correctional centers were broken into, and 1,993 inmates were released, 200 of them were on death row. That is enough to compromise the security of the whole country. And that is what we face. And that is why today there is complete breakdown of law and order in Edo. I mean, you have been reading that, and to the dismay of everyone, a segment of this country that has gone into the hand of hoodlums. Of course, we know it too that is going to affect the totality of this country. So whatever it has to be, the two correctional centers that are in Edo today, all the doors are open. There is nothing there. I think federal government should do something quickly, because some prisoners that were even brought in from outside of the state, now they are on the prowl. Nobody knows what they are going to do. I just believe this one should be, brought to the fore. And of course, all the police stations in one local government, Ikobaka local government, 8 of them, they were all erased, they were burnt. Arms, ammunition looted. Today, no recovery has been made. So, in as much as these judicial panels are sitting, it is important that the law enforcement agencies in Nigeria should work in quick double step, so that all the looted arms and ammunition should leave the hands of these criminals. And thirdly, Mr. President, I have listened to some of the contributions made by very notable Nigerians, including your very good self. We should be concerned about how to prevent this in the future. Maybe before they submit these reports, we just pray to God that there will be no upset again. There will be no unrest that will be exhibited by our youth. Government should start to take proactive steps in making sure that our youth are gainfully employed. Graduates of over 15-year post-graduation, they are still around in the streets. Government and of course institutions like this should be able to take proactive measures to ensure that these ones that are employable are gainfully employed. There is nothing that can stop us now at this critical time from making funds available, even in 2021 budget, to employ a lot of our youths that are roaming our streets. Thank you very much, Mr.
Senator Christopher Ekpel.
Show us that they are there, they are in existence, so that we can begin to learn a lesson and make provision for them. So I've listened. I want to plead with you, Mr. President, that it is not only Lagos State that suffered from the name of the Endsars, even though it started from there. It is not only Edo, it is not only Cross River, but even in my own state, Akwa Ibom State, Even my own home, my local government, I was terrified. I was terrorized. I had to do what I think I could do, which I'm not going to tell you here, to prevent the burning down of my home, which I built in 1993 without coming into politics. So, Mr. President, I want to urge that even in Akwa Ibom, our AKBC, that is Akwa Ibom Broadcasting Corporation, was burned down. The Anchor Insurance building, part of it partially was burned down. The LG stores was looted, and various other stores within the Uyo metropolis were all looted. It's just because we are not complaining. So, Mr. President, what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. I want to plead that we invite the federal government. The federal government should be proactive. They should not wait for the youth to bring down Nigeria. They should do something positive by ensuring that our power, the electric power supply, is stabilized. Our resources, like the steel rolling mill, should be up and doing. Our paper mills should be up and doing. Our aluminum smelting plant should be up again. It is line value in Cross River, Akwa Ibom State, as you call it. Mr. President, we have a lot of areas that we should take the use of Nigeria into productive endeavor. But it seems to me, even when you look at the budget that we have just looked at, people are coming to get, when you look at their expenditure, it does not at all make serious provision for capital projects, for things that would take...
Distinguished, please round up. I have a list of some of the...
that has fired his coming here to speak to this issue. Senator Gashan-Bassi was one of the victims of the mayhem in Cross River. What happened in Cross River was unprecedented. Cross River is noted to be an oasis of peace. Our people are very hospitable, naturally so. And we do not make allowance for violence. So what happened was new and frighteningly new. And it's important we isolate some of the ingredients that may have given rise to this new and dangerous phenomenon. Mr. President, to that end, I would like to draw the attention of the Senate to the fact that the creeks in and around Calabar are becoming a cesspit for the incubation of militancy and all kinds of violent crimes. It is common knowledge in Calabar today that a lot of the kidnap that happens in our state is executed by people who come from the creeks and the swamps. It is important, therefore, to call the attention of the security forces, the Marine Police, the Navy, whose presence is very strong in Calabar, and of course the amphibious departments of the military, to the existence of these cells of death in and around Calabar. And the earlier they are checked, the better for us. It is also common knowledge that before this mayhem started in Calabar, a lot of elements came from the ocean and the rivers around. And it's important that as this investigation is being undertaken, this fact is isolated and dealt with expeditiously. Number two, Mr. President, I would like to isolate the fact that as this destruction occurred, very widespread destruction, like Senator Gashan-Bassi has said, federal buildings, state infrastructure, etc., were destroyed. But there is an element that we must bring to the fore. Members of the National Assembly were special targets. Mr. President, Senator Henshaw, who has left the Senate for about 10, 12 years now, had his house attacked. An elder statesman who was resting with his wife and daughter in his home,
He's no longer in partisan politics. His house was violated by this barbarian. Attacked. Everyone knows that, there's no relationship between his family house and politics. And his own personal house was also attacked. Senator Ndomegba represented Cross River Central. He lives in Calabar like all great men who are from the state do. It's our headquarters. His house was attacked by these vandals and miscreants. So I was discussing with him the other day and we said, look, we must look at this trend. And I think it has to do with the falsity that is being paraded currently in our country. People think that once you are senator, for instance, then you have so much money and we don't know where that comes from. This misrepresentation must be dealt with formally and informally by all of us. The budget that comes to the National Assembly is less than 1% of the general budget of this country. So where we are having this blackmail from, we must look at it and deal with it. The allowances that are available to us here, when you place them in juxtaposition with the pressures that are mounted on us daily by our constituents, you'll see that it's sheer wickedness to begin to, put us in this kind of perspective that some very misguided members of the public are putting us into. Finally, I think I would like to associate with some colleagues on the issue of introspection. This Endsars protest and all that it generated is a wake-up call to all of us. There is no doubt that there is some meat, there is some substance in this protest. A young man graduates from school, maybe makes a first class or a second upper, and remains at home for 10, 15 years without a job. Mr. President, such a young man or woman will feel frustrated, will be despondent, will be living in hopelessness. We must, as a leadership, look at this and begin to redesign new methods of ensuring that we create employment for our teeming youths. Mr. President, finally, our own attitude as leaders is very important. When we make it appear as though elections are a ritual, every 4 years you get back to your people and ask for their votes, and then you begin to sound and act sweet. Immediately after the election, you disappear. You no longer take their calls, you no longer interact with them. This space is...
Distinguished, I thought you said you are rounding up. Please round up now.
President, it is important we look at these things. Begin to drag our constituents closer to us. Begin to interact with them in the way we are supposed to interact with them. If we have been doing so, let us increase the tempo so that they can begin to see issues the way they are, and we can together begin to plan for a better country for all of us. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. In Senator Olujimi's motion, read as follows, and I'll put them first. Prayer 1, urge the federal government to set up a visitation panel to assess the level of destruction of public and private assets in Lagos State. Those in favor of the prayer say aye. Those against say nay. Amendment.
Since we had taken the two motions together, we should be able to marry the two prayers. Like in this case, instead of Lagos State alone, we could add Calabar on any other city that was affected by or something to give it the holistic.
Any seconder? Seconder, Senator Abomoro.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Abomoro, representing the good people of the Benue South Senatorial District. I rise to second the motion that all prayers that are similar.
No. He's amending prayer 1. He's amending, just say you are seconding the amendment to prayer 1.
I so second.
Okay, those in favor of prayer 1 as amended, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Amendment.
Mr. President, I don't know whether the amendment is that the federal government should take visitation to all the states. So I didn't hear all the states. Like Anambra State, the police stations were burnt. All the states. I would just want...
No. What is here is not all the states. Okay, that is going to be a new amendment. So, Seconder, Senator Akin-Elure.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name remains Senator Akin-Elure. I'd like to second the motion, the amendment as amendment as moved by Senator Akin-Elure. I so second, Mr. President.
Okay, distinguished colleagues, those in favor of Prayer 1 as amended, that the federal government sends a visitation panel to all the states affected, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Prayer 2, urge the federal government to commit to assisting Lagos State in rebuilding the state after the wanton destruction of lives and properties by giving 1% of VAT and collections to Lagos State. Those in favor of Prayer 2, say aye. Amendment. Those in favor of Prayer 2 as amended, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Prayer 3, mandate the Senate and Senate Committee on State and Local Government Affairs to monitor compliance. Those in favor of that prayer, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Then prayer from Senator Geshan-Bassi's motion, prayer 1, condemn the attacks on private and public properties in Calabar on the 23rd and 24th October 2020. Those in favor of this prayer, say aye. Well, I think in line with nationwide. Okay, who is going to amend now?